are so excited to have panelists from Nigeria, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Zimbabwe. We are happy and honored to have your presence here with us and to grace our occasion. I'll be introducing the panelists shortly, but before then, I'd like to give a brief introduction for the African Girls Empowerment Network. It's a network whereby we come together for the empowerment of the girls and women for the African Girls Empowerment Network. It's a network whereby we come together for the empowerment of the girls and women. We function using 6 basic pillars: the girl education through the STEM Girls Initiative. We also run a governance and leadership pillar, vet for women. Then we have the child marriage prevention, and we have sexual and reproductive health rights. And we also have good health and well-being. That's another pillar, the good health and well-being, which we title age cares. And we have a pillar for the HIV from mother to child. So today on our webinar, we're having 8 panelists from different walks of life, and we are so excited to have them here with us. We are honored by their presence, and I would like to introduce them to us. So the first panelist I'll be introducing is the director and chairperson of Likoni AIDS Orphanage Center, Kenya. Thank you, Ma. We are so pleased to have you. She is the director and chairperson of Likoni AIDS Orphanage Center, Kenya. We are so pleased to have you, Ma, and you're welcome. Next, I'll be introducing His Excellency, Honorable Engineer Promise Anurika Nwadigos. He's the president of the International Youth Parliament, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. You're welcome, sir. We are so pleased to have you. So I also like to introduce Dira Duba. She's a Yali Fellow, a gender equality champion, and the founder Women Rising Initiative in Kenya. I would also like to introduce Ms. Tokpe Imaseka. She's the CEO of Women Impacting Nigeria. You're welcome, Ma. We are so pleased to have you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. I'm also the founder of WIN. I do have my colleague who's also on the call. Her name is Sarah. She will also be filling in, as I probably might not be here for the entire session. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, man. You're welcome, Ms. Sarah. We appreciate your presence. Also, I'll be introducing Mr. Tinashe Yoni. He is the Global Youth Advocate and Leader for Women Deliver of the International Youth Parliament. You're welcome, sir. Do we have you here, sir?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you.
We are pleased to have you. Thank you very much. I'll also be introducing Alina. Alina is the head of Advocacy and Women Rights Age Network. I would be moving to the next panelist we have in person of Wuraola Abulaton. Ms. Wuraola Abulaton, you're welcome. We are happy to have you. She is the communication lead and social media manager, End to Rape Nigeria. And then last on the list of our panelists, we have Mr. Otieno Mahinda. He is the CEO and founder of Koda Vijana Initiative. I hope I got that right. As I mentioned earlier, our topic today centers on protecting women, girls against rape and sexual violence in sub-Saharan Africa. So today we'll be talking about rape. We'll be talking about how we can protect our women, how we can protect our girls, how we can protect our children from this siege that is ravaging our societies. Because I noticed recently in the light of events all over the world in this COVID era, I noticed that the number of rape cases has been on the increase. Here in Nigeria, we had about 3,600 rape cases reported nationwide during this lockdown. And according to the polls, it was said that 85% of Nigerians believe that it's prevalent due to this lockdown. But for me, I believe This has been a problem in our society and just came to limelight, given that we are all home and most people work from home and we have our children at home, they're not going to school. So these things are now visible to everyone. And also, we had about 5,000 cases reported since mid-March. Many of them have been rape cases for girls under age 18 in the northern Kenya region. We also have about 100 girls that were raped in the past 2 months, reporting from Addis Ababa. So before we go ahead, we would like to give 2 minutes each to two of our panelists to give us their viewpoints on the recent happenings on rape. We would like to call on Ms. Tope to give a 2 minute speech on the recent happenings and her viewpoints. Ms. Tope, you have the floor, ma. You're welcome.
Hi, thanks. So I'll be talking with Sarah as well. So hi everyone. My name is Tokwe Maseka, and I'm the founder of Women Impacting Nigeria. Our main, the main aim of this organization is women empowerment, gender equality, and women's human rights. In the lights of what's been happening on with the rape situation, specifically in Nigeria, is what I can speak for. During the COVID, or during COVID, as you rightly said, we've seen a rapid increase in the number of cases. This has been due to, well, initially because of the lockdown, when people had to stay at homes and so on and so forth, but also because of, economic pressures, people losing their jobs, people not having their daily incomes, which has led to like frustration and specific domestic violence issues at home. But aside from this, we have in Nigeria, I think we have like 1 in 4 women have been, victims of violence, violence and abuse. So, for example, if you take, I don't know how much you guys know about Nigeria, but we have a population of about 200 million people. So let's say like half of that population was women and half was men. So that's 100 million people. So if you take 1 in 4, that's 25 million people. That's more than the population of our largest city, which is Lagos. So, I'm just giving you an example so you can understand the sheer number of cases. So let's say you have 25 million people being raped or abused or, being in situations of violence. That's quite a stark number. So, from my standpoint, I feel like there are specific things that we can do to support these women of, domestic violence and abuse, such as like free counseling, such as, even some creative, solutions, such as self-defense classes, such as, just a lot of advocacy, promoting women's rights and also letting people know that they can speak up and they should speak up. And if they do speak up, we do have, legal counsel and free legal aid to support them. And also, there's a lot of victim blaming situations with, where people would, report cases and then have, and then be like, feeling ashamed and so on and so forth. And also, from a legal standpoint, I feel like, there's a lot of advocacy to be done. And, there's a lot of, we need to push, the government, the Senate to pass a lot of, bills into the system. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
Okay. So the silence culture has been like a norm in Nigeria because a lot of ladies are they're ashamed. They feel like if they speak up on sexual assault or someone is raping them or they're having a lot of gender violence against them, they would not be able to, for some, would not be able to get married or their family will be marginalized. And as a result of that, people would prefer to keep quiet and let their abusers run free. And our implementing factors, such as our police, these people, they do not support like rape victims. When they come to the police to make reports, lots of police, like I have experienced some, they will tell you that you wanted it or your dress was too short. And when victims, when ladies, when women go into such places that they think they're supposed to get succor, and they get treated like that, they would not want to speak because they would be embarrassed, they would be made ashamed, they would make them feel like they're the cause, they're the abusers. And this emboldens and empowers the abusers when they know that they've gotten away with one. I don't think there's anything stopping them from doing it to another person. And for solutions, we're thinking not just creating new laws, the implementation is very necessary. We believe that health workers, police officers, they should be trained, like they should be trained, and they should be taught that rape is just not one of the cases that they feel is just something that we can throw away. It's an important crime, and they should make sure that they implement the laws. If anybody is suspected or accused of being a rapist, they should follow it with proper investigation. They shouldn't make the victim feel as though the person brought it upon herself. They should ensure that they take away victim blaming. So we should push for advocacy that these people are trained, not just for the urban level, also in the rural areas, because some culture has been ingrained into the judicial system. So a lot of people would believe that, okay, it's a norm, let's just keep quiet, let's just accept it, it's a norm, what is the police going to do about it? And the policemen and women, they've probably grown up with this, it's a normal thing, why are you talking about it, are you the only one? They bring it into the workplace, which is not meant to be. Even in the hospitals, and they will tell you that when you get to the hospital, you should not come out with you should bring a police report before they can examine you for rape, especially when you're a rape victim. And that is not supposed to be so, because when someone is raped, you need to get all the evidence, especially the medical evidence, so that this can enable the police officers get this suspect and try the person to court. So these and many more things, we should look for like my colleague had stated, sexual defense skills. We should look for self-defense skills for young women and girls, because if they are able to defend themselves, I don't think they'll be scared to go out. Because as ladies in some parts of Nigeria, we can't go out when it's past 8 o'clock, and there's a lot of limitations to that. What of people stuck in traffic? What of people they're coming back from work? We just need to focus on violence, and also on community level and family-based level. And young girls should be trained that when they notice that this is a sign of sexual violence, they should not accept it as a norm. They should be trained on how to prevent. They should prevent it, or how to act on it. And lastly, access to essential services. It cannot just be underrated. The police and the hospitals, they should ensure that women get access, that rape victims, sexual violence victims, they should have priority when they come to health centers or the police station. They should have priority treatment. They should be treated as they are, the victims, and ensure that justice is brought to them. And this and many more are one of the interventions that Women Impact in Nigeria, that's what we do. We train ladies on self-defense skill. We set up social welfare. We also give legal support for victims, and we also do a lot of advocacy, not just in Lagos or the urban part of Lagos. We even go into the community level, the rural area, so that everyone is aware that rape is a crime and should never be accepted as a norm. And we also give medical support for people that do not have. We help them with medical support.
I was saying that it's so sad that in Nigeria that we've been now where we are having a lot of economic downturn, where we are supposed to be protective of ourselves, we are actually turning to rape as a result. I'm speaking based on the conversation from Ms. Tope and Sarah. We really appreciate your contribution. And I was actually saying that it's so sad to have people resort to raping people, raping girls, raping young ones, people who are vulnerable in the society, who we are supposed to protect. And it's actually quite sad that we have a lot of victim blaming in Nigeria. And I was saying that someone raised his or her hand from Kenya and would like to hear the person's perspective. Can we have Honorable Promise? Can we have him give his view on the current situation of rape in his society before we move on? Briefly, for about a minute. Honorable Promise, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. For me, I'm not gonna speak just. Yeah, originally I'm from Nigeria, but then I represent the African Voice because I'm the president international Youth parliament at Addis Ababa, so that comprises the whole of the African continent. So I'll be speaking generally. Having visited a lot of countries in Africa, so I think what I've come to realize is that you know a lot of issues have been put on paper. Yeah, a lot of issues concerning reps and their solutions have been being piled up. Uh, just you can only see a document, but then going to court or to get justice, there is nothing more to it. So to me, I feel it's not just putting laws on the paper. It's not enough. First, I believe that the law enforcement and court mechanism have to be made friendly and accessible to women. Yeah, because you have a challenge where a young girl is being abused. Like the last time before the lockdown, I was in sorry, I was in Kenya. That I visited a lot of communities in Kenya. That while trying to interact. So one of the things I got to find out is that you know you could see a man marrying a woman, you know, bringing in another woman inside his matrimonial home. And when the wife tried to, talk, he would beat her up and throw her away, and nothing happens. Then I ask, does it mean that the government, are not doing anything, or the laws are not doing anything concerning this? She said, no. Yeah, as long as the person is a rich person in Kenya, that nothing happens. And this has happened because then I try to sample the opinion of other young girls is it's still the same thing. So I think one of the most important things that we should look at, that is much more critical, is trying to make sure that the law mechanism is accessible and friendly for women. Then also there is a need to also ensure that all those who are who are uh, who respond to violence against women, whether they are police officers, judges, lawyers, or immigration, are sensitized and trained to provide a response that is compassionate and comprehensive, mainly for the girls and women, because sometimes it's not really uh, 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 easy or friendly. You see someone having a good case, then getting to uh, where it's supposed to be handled, then you see that things will be slowed down. So to me, these are one of the major challenges I think that should be looked into. And also and also I feel that you know good law can fail if the legal process is too expensive, because when you have a good rape case, then you find out that you don't have much money, for example, to pursue your case. So it becomes a problem. So I think these are the three things I think is very important. First, making law enforcement accessible and friendly to women. Second, sensitizing and training those who are handling this matter, whether they are police, judges, or whoever, to give a compassionate and comprehensive uh, understanding and insight. And then thirdly, to see how the legal process can be made more easy, accessible, and trustworthy, so that when people go in, they can get justice. Because I think Africa and its continents they are not doing good at all. They are not. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Promise. One thing I picked from your conversation is accessibility. We should actually make the law enforcement accessible to women or victims of rape. That's actually true because it's actually not enough to have law governing rape and then it's not accessible. It really doesn't serve its purpose if it's not accessible to the victims. So one other part I'd like us to focus on concentrate on is to ensure that these victims are able to access law. They are able to get justice. It will encourage people to speak up, and I believe in the long run it's going to drive the rape cases. The numbers will actually go down when they know that okay, they'll be punished or legal actions or justice will be gotten for the victims. Another bit that worries me is the victim blaming aspect. And I keep wondering, why should sub-Saharan Africa, why should we blame women for being raped? Why? Is there anything that can be done to reduce victim blaming or victim shaming? Is there something we can do as advocates against rape to turn down these numbers, to make sure women are being to ensure that they are not being blamed for their misfortunes?
My name is Dorcas Andati.
Okay,
and
welcome,
I'm calling from Kenya. The scars of vulnerability of women and girls in sub-Saharan Africa is very visible and tangible, and it is impacting negatively on the socio-economic and health of these cohorts. It is a pity that most women are suffering in silence because the very people and the very stakeholders who are supposed to protect them are busy doing conferences and meetings in boardrooms rather than reaching the grassroots and voicing up the women. We have the recent situation where girls have been impregnated during the COVID-19. There have been so many issues gathering to this, but we find that family, relatives, and setups, communities, are the ones who are sexually abusing these girls, people who are known to them, people who coerce them positively or negatively, and then they decide to resolve the issues as a community. It is very sad that in a contemporary society, we can have women being abused and the legislatures are not doing something about it. I think the solution of voicing up women in Africa is not to make them victims of their own event, is to make them voice and feel powerful and rise against the power of rape culture in Africa. I sincerely feel there are so many factors leading to the sexual abuse and rape culture in Africa. And the return of modern slavery has put vulnerability to our girls and women, where socialites are harassed, the victims of violence, but they are afraid to say so because of their stature in the society. We have girls who are being used in bars and casinos to dance naked and allure men for the bars to get economic breakthrough in these institutions. So we think that we have to do much, base our research and our projects in grassroots and communities of Africa, rather than putting it in boardrooms, and yet we are not reaching girls within our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Ma. Really appreciate you. And then one thing I would like us, or I would like to bring to our knowledge, or I'd like to get clarifications or ways on how we can drive home the point, saying sex without consent is rape. Once you're not getting a consent from an individual without once you're not getting consent, rather, you shouldn't have any right to a woman's body without consent. You shouldn't have an excuse saying the woman is asleep, the woman is working late at night, the woman is wearing short dresses, giving flimsy excuses. How do we drive home this point? How do we get people to really understand what consent mean in our world of today?
All right, thank you very much. Sorry, can I speak?
Yes, please, you can.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Wuraola. I'm calling. I'm from Nigeria. I work with Stand to Help Initiative. Happy to be
You're
part of
welcome,
this
ma'am.
discussion. Really sorry for joining late. I had a prior engagement. So the question is key and I like it, but I feel like when we talk about so much focus on women, like not like women, like I mean older women, while forgetting that the majority of people affected by sexual violence are actually, younger people and minors. So I like that you asked how do we drive on consent, but the thing is, before we can drive on consent, we have to drive away patriarchy. So generally, the way society views sex and the way society views women. So women are viewed as lesser, not worthy, and that is why you have so much paternal rape where fathers, brothers are raping. People are just raping like the girl child. Just harming. There's too much violence towards women. So for starters, the society has to be willing to let go of patriarchy. We have to start working towards a more gender balanced society. And number two, I don't believe the generation we are in or the grown-ups now are a lost cause. But I believe that the people that will do the work, the people that will really work towards eradicating are the young ones coming up. And as such, we need to start um, consent from as little when children are 1 year old. And I say this because when you're growing up as a child, you are taught that stealing is bad, right? You're taught that lying is bad. You're never taught that if you go and hug your classmates and she doesn't want, is bad. Like no one, and consent. Once you can let people understand consent in its the most basic form, right? If someone says, "I'm not giving you my sweets," right, and you take it, you're beaten. But if a child maybe is trying to hug the girl, or maybe he goes to touch her and beat her, they'll say, oh, he's playing with you, he likes you. So we need to first change our upbringing matrix. We need to bring up children, we need to let adults know that you know anything you do, like we need to let people understand and respect bodily autonomy. When that is done, and then of course we have better laws, we have laws that better prescribe justice for survival. Rape will reduce, but more importantly, rape culture will leave, because the thing that lets rape thrive so much is rape culture, right? It's rape culture. So if rape culture is eradicated, if children growing up are taught to understand consent, if children are taught to know that there are parts of their body that people should not touch, should not have access to, if children are brought up, in a safe environment where they can speak up about their experiences, right? If when children do speak up about their experiences, adults do not shush it up for shame. It's so disheartening that when sexual violence comes up, everyone thinks of the shame on the survivor or the victim. I've never understood it. When all of the shame should be on the perpetrator, right? So, a way of doing that, of course, we need to incorporate consent, bodily autonomy into schools, into syllabus. Mass media is a good way. So, a lot of people right now, the idea of sexual violence they have is what they've seen on TV, what they've heard in songs. You watch movies that will portray the lady being raped as someone that was coming from club, working at night and all of that. And that is not like so all of the time. A majority of the time, it is not even so. So we need to employ mass media in actually painting a more realistic picture of how sexual violence occurs and how support can be given, um, and all of that. So I mean, I think it's really hard to me that children are mostly affected, and I know definitely the power female children are mostly affected, again, minors, by sexual violence. It's also because they are not regarded, right? So once we make a move towards equality, consent won't be such a hard concept to grasp. It's not like it's even hard. I mean, we say that men understand consent when they are the one that they're like their autonomy is being violated. So it's not like people don't understand. They do, but they just feel like, oh yeah, I can definitely like violate you because you are lesser or you are not up to me as far as society is concerned, right? So once we can change that and we let everyone know this person is exactly the same human as you, the respect you give yourself or you give your fellow man across to this person, then it's easy for you to not assault them. Right. So I hope I've answered. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Furola. I got that your point was based on building a gender balanced society. Really, my key takeaway from your conversation was the point that a man is human, a woman is also human. A man has the right to let me put it this way, a man has a consent right as well as a woman. If you are demanding for some things
Yes.
as a man, you should also be aware that a woman has exactly the same right as you, given
Yes.
that she's human. Did I get that right, Miss Mura?
Yes. Yes. You did.
Thank you so much for your presentation and your
Sorry, I was just gonna say, can I add on like a little bit? Because I really like what she talked about. So can you just add on like a little bit?
okay. All
Yeah,
right.
okay. So hi, I think my name is Anne, and then I'm a representative from SODED. And thank you guys so much for organizing this amazing webinar. I think it's really cool.
Thank you
We
for
are all
joining
here
us.
discussing this really serious issue. So I really agree with the fact that it is really normalized in like African countries that we are like especially treating women as an object. So we are dehumanizing women instead of treating it as a equal human rights. We actually objectifying women and calling them. So for instance, a lot of like pop culture, music culture, often men would describe women as one of their objects or like one of their toys that they actually feel rewarded when they I guess gain them. So basically I feel like, and then definitely many women, especially in older generation, will actually blindly enforce this gender inequality because they were so used to the system of men being superior. So like for instance, like breast flattening, there are like a lot of mom and grandmother will actually force a kind of cruel tool to their young daughters to ensure that they're not developing. And then so this is, and then they also claim that they're protecting their daughters, which in a way is also victim blaming. So I feel like all of this is definitely the authority and the government are definitely ignoring these kind of problems, and they're like trying to normalize how men can actually treat women with disrespect. So this is why I feel like in order to improve this process, we should definitely, I guess, like encourage a lot of women activism and also instill the confidence into these young women to make sure they're standing up for themselves. Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Ma.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you. Mr. Tinashe, I saw your hand raised, sir.
Yes,
You're
yes.
welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. I'm pleased to be joining the esteemed panel. I just also wanted to make a few submissions, and I do concur with what all the previous speakers have alluded to. And I think I also want to touch on issues around masculinity. I think it is also important, especially on us, especially on the male side, to also take a critical look at what masculinity means to us as men and how we embody it. Because I think that's one of the also key drivers. Because in most cases, you actually see that most men they have this egocentric behavior that they have, and and we need to redefine we need to redefine masculinity as a starting point. And another issue that I also want to highlight is the issue of victim blaming. Um, like what the previous another speaker mentioned, you realize that in most cases people don't tend to blame the especially the female, like somehow she deserved it because of the way she was wearing and stuff like that. So I believe it's very critical for us to really stop victim blaming and ensure that we we listen to each and everybody, because the moment we start victim blaming without listening to the particular person, we might actually miss it, and that's when rape continues. And also, I think it's also critical that we establish like a zero tolerance when it comes to rape and sexual harassment. Like we need to have proper policies in place which have a zero tolerance on sexual harassment and violence, be it in the places that we are living, be it in our workplaces, and wherever that we have a human interaction. We need to have strictly zero tolerance policies around rape and sexual violence. That's my submission for now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. There's something I would still like us to speak about. First of all, you spoke on redefinition of masculinity. I would like you to, in a little while, just expatiate on that because it's not so clear. I wasn't clear on that. And also, we had a speaker that earlier said, mentioned making law enforcement accessible to victims, and you also spoke on policies. So my question would be that, in what practical steps can we make in the sub-Saharan Africa, in our world today, to make the policies that are being made, the laws and justice, how can we make them available to victims? How can we make them accessible to our victims? Now, I'm talking of practical steps. So, someone also mentioned where people that are supposed to be protecting the citizens, they are in the boardrooms, they are having meetings, they are creating these laws, but these laws are not being enforced. What can we do actually to make these laws? What can we do to activate them? And how can we make these laws and justice available to the victims? Thank you. Can we have one of our panelists handle it?
Hi.
Mr. Tinashe, you could also start by
Sorry.
giving us more detail on the redefinition of masculinity, because I'm not so clear on that point.
Okay.
Okay.
Should I go?
Yes, please.
Okay. I, what I meant is, I think I don't know if we all understand what we mean by masculinity, but masculinity in general, it's somehow the the behaviors and roles that are associated with boys and men. So um, so like that's where I'm emphasizing that we really need to look our definition, and our society generally, especially in the African context, when it comes to us men, they regard as some of the things as normal. So that's why I'm wanting us to redefine it, because in most cases, some communities, they regard it as normal for a man to beat a woman, which is totally wrong. So that's why I'm emphasizing that we need to really redefine what is meant by masculinity, because in an African context, we realize that there are, especially in some cultures, you really see that these are things that are regarded as normal. When a man beats a woman, it uh, somehow, especially like in a marriage setup, a woman is bound to be told that no, that's how a marriage is like. You need to safeguard your marriage and stuff like that. But the person is undergoing sexual harassment, so it's very important that go back to the drawing board and actually look on those issues that we tend to normalize and regard them as mainly things, but at the same time they are detrimental.
Thank you. Just to
Thank you
contribute to
very
what
much. Okay.
yeah, so
I'm
just to contribute to what you said, yeah. So while masculinity in itself is not a bad thing, but the problem is toxic masculinity, and that is what most African societies, or what they call our culture, that's what it has passed as mainstream masculinity. So a great example is in the way the boy child and the girl child is revered. So we've had situations whereby, you know, people are referred to as not having children because you don't have boy child, or where they say you don't have an heir, or where the woman is sent out of the house because she's not been giving birth to girls, or where the girl child is even sold, or where there are like educational opportunities, and then the girl child is asked, oh, you are going to end up being a wife, and as such you don't need to go to school. Right. So all of that, of course, now flows into the way they are treated. So the things that people shouldn't get away with. So, like he said, allowed to beat your wife. Like, how is that an okay thing? But it is actually allowed in a lot of cultures, even the constitution in Nigeria, right? There's a part of our constitution in Nigeria that says you can beat your wife as correction. Why? Why is that, right? So then it now start boiling down to the way, so because of this toxic masculinity, it also boils down to the way sex is viewed. So for example, sex is viewed as something you take from the woman, where something man takes, right? And that's why it's part of why sexual violence is so rampant. So when we're talking about eliminating masculinity, is not necessarily, or what I didn't get his name was talking about, is more about removing toxic masculinity as a whole, and then bringing, I would say, a normal masculinity that recognizes everyone as equals. And then when you're talking about the law, so like I said, now, for example, our constitution is Nigeria. Look at part of our constitution allowing that. What we can do right now is push for amendments. So recently, we were pushing for more states to adopt the Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act in Nigeria. And we did that because we realized that the law that governs rape in our constitution is very, very inadequate. So, for example, it says rape of a woman as a misdemeanor, like that's like a criminal case, something that can be settled, while the rape of a man is seen as a felony. And then it didn't even, and that rape of a man is even like very, very clear. It didn't even boil it down to rape of a man by a woman. Like it was so limiting. So we pushed for BAP Act, that's Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act. So, and the marital rape was not even recognized. So the BAP Act, recognizes marital rape, recognizes rape of a man, like it just provides better justice. But guess what? Out of 36 states in Nigeria, as I when that BAP Act has been out since 2015. The only thing constant in this life is change. So I know a lot of people, once they see the law, they just assume, that's the law. But honestly, it can be changed, right? And until we start pushing for it and start, letting people see this is not the best way, things can be better. People really would. Everyone is going to just be comfy and just relax. So what we can do every day, talk about it, let people know. A lot of people don't even know how the law prescribes or what the law says or the process. So in our own little way, we just have to create more awareness, because the more people know, the more people want to change. Right? Knowledge is one of the driving tools that we can use.
Hello.
It's Dorcas again from Kenya. I would like to share something on what we should do or what we should push for to reduce the vulnerability of women. I was reading a book of the title, The Problem of Africa. When an African man is given an option to benefit from something and the brother to benefit double, then they think of something that will not empower the brother. Like the title is Gouge My Eye. So if you gouge my eye and my brother receives double, then my brother will have 2 eyes gouged. Then in either situation, your brother will be more vulnerable and will be in a better position to overrule over your brother. So Africa, we should rise up not sharing our problems, but sharing our solutions, not spreading our diseases, but trying to look for cure and treatment for our solutions and for the well-being of the society. I simply think that Honorable Promise, Elizabeth, and Age, Likonia's Orphanage Kenya, as we are trying so much to work in our communities and in the villages to empower women and advocate for their rights.
I'd like us to move very quickly because our time is being spent. There is a particular, next on my slide is a rape myth that is supposed to be addressed. So the myth is about the constitution that says a husband, a woman who is married to a man can't be raped by that man. So it seems that the marriage to the man is a consent by the woman all the days of her life to always have sex with the man. So I don't know where that is coming from. I'm seeing it as a constitution, but I'm really struggling to believe that that's really a constitution here. Saying that once a woman is married to a man, then that's enough consent for the entirety of the woman's life to always have sex. Meaning the woman can't be raped by the man. No excuse is good enough to rape a lady, a woman, or a girl. Infidelity, indecent dressing, working late at night doesn't justify a man raping a woman in any case. Then, on a closing remark, I'd like to say to end rape, it is very important to end rape because it's going to limit the transmission of sexual diseases. It's going to also help reduce fear. It's going to increase the productivity of women. That's, we are driving towards a gender balanced society where we have more women taking up leadership positions, where we have more women excelling. So to drive this, we'll also need women to function at optimal capacity. We would like to also emphasize and drive home the point that we as NGOs, we as individuals, and we as corporate bodies, we still have a lot to be done. A lot to be done in terms of enforcing accessibility, enforcing the policies that are being put together to end rape, standing up for victims and ensuring that they get justice. And one key thing is the redefinition of masculinity. We would like to, at this point, appreciate all our panelists. We would like to say thank you, a very big thank you for your time, your contributions to the success of this webinar. Thank you very much, and we trust that together we can build a safe world for our women, a safe world for our children, and a safe world for everyone at large. We would like to bring the webinar to a close at this point. Let's all remember that collaboration is key to achieving success. Collaboration is key to bringing rape to a minimal stop in sub-Saharan Africa. We trust that in the near future, this will be a story of the past. We will have very minimal cases of rape because we are all going to work towards educating the world and changing the world. Thank you so much for joining. A special thanks to our panelists. We really appreciate your time and your contributions. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.